Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Sharon.
I'm so glad to see you here. First, I have to start out. We're going to get into leadership a couple of questions down the road, but I have to start with the way that this conversation came to be. I watch I watch on YouTube every Sunday. I'm there
Mhm.
and kind of running the chat behind the scenes and everything. And I can't because we don't have mics, dispersed throughout the sanctuary. I can always hear what the liturgist is saying or whatever. But a lot of times we can't hear the announcements or anything like that. Well, um, what came through loud and clear last week's service, and if anybody missed it, I'm sorry you missed it because it was a great moment. We were talking about these video sermons, which I really enjoy because I get to know people even better than I normally do. And loud and clear, I heard Elizabeth, I'll volunteer to be in one of the interviews. And I think you kind of threw Sean for a loop. That shocked look at us. And I was like, yes, that is the spirit moving and you allowing that spirit to come through. And it did come through very well. So I thank you for your very public and energetic volunteerism.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and you got it right. I mean, it's that power of the still speaking God that we are attracted to coming to our church to hear, right? And allowing the spirit to move us when we get those prompts and those feelings. And I just felt I had to stand up and say, yes, me. I can do that. I can share my story, and I can share my message with the church, and that it was important to put that out there. And I was so excited to hear back from the church and be given the opportunity to follow through on it right away. So
Well, quite frankly, you were our moderator during the pandemic when it first started. You got to test all the waters. And church has changed drastically. And I know that, we had to stay separate for a while, but what we have is just more opportunity to reach people.
mhm.
Somebody could watch a video 6 months from now and be moved by something that somebody says in one of these. We've exponentially broadened our reach, and I'm not going to regret that at all. I love all the electronic options and all the technology options that we have. We're a small church, and we can now reach anywhere in the world.
We do. It is. It is such an amazing time to be a part of church, I think. As much as the pandemic brought out such distress and feelings of, anxiety, concern about the future, feeling isolated and alone in some ways, it also gave us the opportunity to really make those strong connections possible through technology, and
Mhm.
to grow and to come out of some of our comfort zones. Who would have thought that our little church would be able to do live streaming of services, and have our services being shared on YouTube and Facebook and being watched by people, and reaching people.
Yeah.
It's so powerful that we were able to come together, and a few people. I love the word pivot. We just keep
Mhm.
pivoting. It's like, okay, stay at home. Sure, we got this. We gotta stay connected. So we're gonna figure it out. So like, hey Sharon, can you look into this and do that? And well, let's try this. Let's try, recording ourselves. And those first few months, so many people behind the scenes putting in so much time and effort to learn and to piece things together. And I was the moderator, but I was also involved with providing some children's messages and
Mhm.
editing videos and getting authors to come on and to share their stories. And it was an exciting time. It was a lot of work, but it was, I felt supported. I felt God's love surrounding us and strengthening us, that we were able to do that and to make it work and produce stuff that I'm still proud to look back on,
Yep.
So
Yep. I
absolutely.
mean, I mean, we had never done anything. Uh, the first year of the pandemic, when we were all separated, we started doing the Facebook Live prayer sessions.
Mhm,
Powerful stuff.
mhm.
We would not have had the inkling to do that had this pandemic not pushed us into the realm where we didn't want to go. We didn't want to go into this realm. And, aside from the loss of life and disruption to everyone's lives,
Still going.
tell me how you grew up. Did you grow up in a UCC church?
I did not grow up with church
With
at
any
all.
church? Ah,
No, my parents were Methodist. I was baptized in a Methodist church, and as sometimes happens, there was some conflict in their little church. And while they didn't turn away from God, they turned away from organized religion,
mhm,
and they just didn't want to be a part of it when I was growing up. And so my only experiences with church was having sleepovers at a friend's house on a Saturday night, and their family went to church in the morning. So, okay, we're off to church, and you come too, and go to church, and then getting dropped off at home afterwards, and like, oh, that was kind of interesting. They go to do that every week, and they get to, learn about things and crafts and games, and that's kind of cool. But it wasn't a regular thing. I
so you had experiences in your childhood, but when you found, like, what drew you to our church? Were you looking for a church when you found our church, or was it?
Mm.
I,
Our church, there's something about our church.
mhm,
Every single time I would drive up and down 59, for every time I passed by PCCUCC on Route 59 in Fraser, I was like, there's something about that church.
uh-huh.
It's calling to me. It says come in. So I'm like, what is UCC? And so I started to like kind of Google it, and I'm like, oh, oh, wow. I didn't know that there was churches like the UCC out there. Really? They're open and affirming? Really? They believe in social justice issues?
Yep.
Wow, they're they got people like me that think like me and that feel like me, and that, that, yeah, no, that there is a God out there that loves us and wants the best for us. And
So you joined F because we became open and affirming in 2009. So you joined F sometime after that.
it
Did you
was
go through the process with us, or?
no, I didn't walk through the door until 2013. The people made walking through the door one of the easiest decisions I had made in my life.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just gonna brag on you just a little bit, but you have, I mentioned your leadership roles. You have taken VBS to places. We did do an online VBS during the first year of the pandemic. your involvement on leadership roles on the board, moderator, vice moderator. I mean, you impress me because you're an all-in person. It's like, okay, I came here, I like it, I'm in. Like, I'm willing to be a part of what this church is trying to build. And we are in a, flux mode. Churches around the world are in flux mode right now.
Mhm.
A lot of pastors are leaving and retiring. So, but we've been through this before, and we know that there's something else coming. So, we just keep working on it. But why is leadership important to you?
I don't think I'm the type of person can do things by half measures, I guess.
Nope.
Um, it's like, I see where I can make a difference, and I'm all in. I'm I'm ready to kind of jump in there and be a part of it. Sometimes I bite off more than I can chew.
Yep.
I will admit that, like sometimes, there's been times where I'm like, okay, help me. I've got more on my plate. And, it's like, and we as a church have figured those things out. We come together, we do things, we evolve. I think that's one of the things I love about this church so much is that yes, we try and hold on to all the good, but we also recognize that we need to grow and change. And
Mhm.
and we are, and we continue to do that.
Resiliency is the word that I like. But for years, decade or more, I've been describing this church as, the little church with the big heart. We have a lot of heart in this church. We have a lot of passion in this church.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of, sometimes it gets hard because you have your passion, I have my passion, and sometimes it's a little bit chaotic, but it it we keep working at it, and we keep finding ways to do our outreach, which is that's what the church is, our new video capabilities and our food pantry and our connection with the community with Morning Star and um, all those things are we are the little church that could.
That's why leadership is important, to and leadership doesn't mean sitting on the board.
No.
Leadership is all different things. It's taking on tasks and roles and doing what you can with the church. You can be a leader as a liturgist by just signing up and doing it. You can be a leader by signing up for and participating in coffee hour
Mhm.
and helping out with VBS. And you don't have to be in charge to be part of leading.
Right. Absolutely. Verses. We talked about Bible verses. What do you do when you need to, you've had one of those days and it's like 97 things went wrong and maybe one or two things went right? What are your go-to verses?
I'm a New Testament kind of kind of
Ooh.
gal. I really do like to read Luke, Mark, Matthew. I kind of gravitate to the understanding from Jesus's parables and the messages that we don't have to get it right all the time. We just have to keep trying, you know? I
Mhm.
mean, I read what Jesus was saying to his disciples and really try to take that to heart of feeding this feeding the sheep, caring for the lambs, the understanding the passages of how do we show our faith, which is, what our church is about, kindness, right?
Mhm.
Being kind to one another, loving one another. It's the little things. I love the Galatians passage about the fruits of the spirit, and
Mhm.
cultivating the fruits of the spirit, the passage of the widow's mite,
Mhm.
it's not the big flashy stuff. It's not, it's the, did you really dig deep and give that all, give that peace, that and then trust in God, that God has the plan and the direction, and that we need to be listening for it, being somebody who listens for the still speaking God. Because boy, when I sit still and I do my breathing and I listen, I can hear.
Mhm.
I can hear the directions that I'm supposed to be going in. And when I, you know, I get out of my own way.
Right. Oh, that's
I gotta
big.
get out of my own way and let God give me the direction.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
uh,
awesome. The mustard seed. If you
yeah.
have faith the size of a mustard seed, and I think we did that once when we after we first joined, they handed out mustard seeds. You can
Mhm.
almost lose it in the palm of your hand, but if you have that much faith, you're going, down the right path. So what would you I'm going to use the kid angle again, but let's say it's 10 years down the road and 10, maybe 15, I don't know. You got a couple of grandkids. What would you want them to see at our church? I like the crystal ball question. I'm just trying to
Oh,
rephrase it in a different way.
yeah, we're gonna go with the whole 15 to 20 on that. I just see that our church has a, a foundation and a pivotal role in Plainfield, and that we can we can be the church that the people need for the new generation.
Mhm.
We hear a lot about how Americans are moving away from organized religion, away from church, that their faith practices don't involve being in a church pew every Sunday,
Right, right,
and yeah, I can see that. I can see that with the lifestyles that we're living and the things that people have going on, and just the American society, and what we have all going on. But that I would want my children and my grandchildren to have a place like PCCUCC, where they can come and feel at home, whether they were there the previous Sunday or it had been 5 Sundays, five years prior. You know,
right.
that they can go and get the message and get the feeling and feel a part of a church that is living Christ's message of love and compassion and joy and hope, because our church does so much and we can be so much in our community, and we just, that is where our church will be in 15, 20 years.
Right,
That
right.
my grandchildren will feel the same things that I'm feeling when I sit in church, or whether I'm part of a social justice mission like Feed My Starving Children,
Mhm.
or whether we're doing a VBS or whatever.
Yeah, and that you take that spirit that you described at the beginning, and it's not meant to be just within the confines of that building. It's a great building, and it has a great draw to it, but you are to take that spirit that you find of compassion and respect and out, and you take that with you, so it travels wherever you go. You're representing, you know that spirit to the world. That's a powerful thing, and I think that's what reconnects people to to coming together. we are a herd group. We need each other. We can't do this alone. We need each other. And
Our message, like it's a balance, right? It's a balance between we have to feed the faith of the faithful by having the church and the services and the message and the music and the connection, but we feed ourselves so that we can go forth and feed others,
there you go.
and the others aren't standing right outside our door. The lambs and the sheep that Jesus wants us to reach are in our community,
Yes.
near and far.
Yes.
And so yes, it's important to have the building and the people on the Sunday for the message, but if we're not going out into the world, then we're missing that other half
Yeah.
of what God is calling us to do.
That fills my heart. And I think this is a great segue to just saying thank you for your can-do spirit and for your spirit of volunteerism and leadership. And is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you were really hoping we would?
If I could give any message to our congregation, it is we are better together. We can be together in whatever form that looks like, which it's a little different these days, but that when we are better together, and when we are together, we can do what God is calling us to do.
Amen. Amen. Actually, do you remember how we ended our first few forays into Facebook Live and that? Do you remember how we used to end our prayer sessions?
Peace, love,
and
live long and prosper.
amen.
Amen.